Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sampson, Stephanie Phillips with another episode of Veterans in Politics. Today we have Nadia Wood, Las Vegas Justice of the Peace, Department 16. But before we get to Judge Wood, Ms. Phillips.
Hey, everybody. You know, my normal announcements. Everybody, you can get your copy of How to Navigate Nevada's Family Court System on Amazon. It's $14.99. Steve wrote this to help family court litigants who cannot afford an attorney, and most of them don't have an attorney. So grab your copy. He will even autograph it for you. Also, we have a merch store, VIPImerch.com. We have all kinds of merchandise on there. T-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, coffee mugs, travel mugs, everything. So hop on there and take a look at that. Also, if you are a candidate or have a business or a nonprofit that you want to advertise, we have spots available for you to advertise. The sign would be the size of a yard sign. So get in touch with us for that. And also, I wanted to say a couple of things, a couple of rants. When I hear people talk about and put service members down because of the branch of military or the branch that they serve in.
Record number one.
Did we lose our internet again?
Did we?
I don't know. Well, it might say. But anyway, people who criticize people in the National Guard, in the Coast Guard, in any other branch, it doesn't matter what branch in which you serve. We are grateful and thankful for your service, for all service members. And I just want to give, and speaking of that, I want to give a shout out to my son, who is a commissioned officer in the United States Army. He is a graduate of IBOLC, Airborne, and just graduated Ranger School. And he did 62 and through. And if you know what that means, then you know. But it's a 62-day program, and it is rigorous, it is tough, and about 20% of the people who enter that program finish without recycling. And he was one of those, and he did awesome. And I just want to say congratulations, babe. I am very proud of you. And also, speaking of family court litigants, Steve and I have talked about this many times. Steve has helped hundreds. I wouldn't even know what number to put on that. Still helping because they call all the time and ask for help in various ways. And I just want to say that the way that you can support him is buy his book. And actually, it would help a lot of you. And I like to see when he helps a lot of people, I like to see people also support him and help him. And I believe it's the right thing to do. And I see so much of these people that just are self-serving and it's all about them, but then they forget all the things that he has done for people. And it's not only litigants, it's candidates, and it's also other people out there too. You know who you are. So anyway, I just needed to throw that out there, and we appreciate your support. And thanks for watching.
No rants?
Well, that was kind of a rant because I see one-sided friendships here, and also there's the copycats out there too that copy everything that you do. But they say what imitation is the greatest form of flattery, right?
I like it.
Is that how it goes?
I feel like I duplicated myself.
Yeah. People got a book, you got a talk show, pictures. Okay. But anyway, we were down at the RJC this morning, and we were in Judge Schwartz's courtroom. And I know you put this video out there, but I'll say it here too. There was a defendant there, and he mentioned that he had diabetes. And he was pulled out of the detention facility there to be brought to court at 6 a.m. By this time that we saw this gentleman and this hearing, it was 11, and he had not been fed. And people with diabetes and other health conditions, they need food. So
You said he didn't get breakfast.
He didn't get
And
breakfast.
now we're into lunch.
Now it's lunch.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, CCDC, feed them before you bring them to court. Thank you.
I did reach out to Kevin McMahill, and he said that might have been a fluke.
Okay. Well, if it's a fluke, then okay. But you are innocent until proven guilty.
True that.
But you still need food, regardless.
Or a Snickers bar.
Yeah.
Snickers bar.
Bring the Snickers.
Yes. Are you done?
I could go on, but
Judge Wood,
Hi.
thank you so much for coming on the program.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. Tell us about you.
So I
Don't leave nothing out because I'm looking at you right now.
Oh, okay, great. So I am your Justice of the Peace in Las Vegas Justice Court, Department 16. I was elected in 2022. Prior to being elected, I was a public defender. I came out to Las Vegas in 2011. Started at the public defender's office, was there until I was elected in 2022. Prior to that, I attended Georgetown University Law Center, law school, and UC Berkeley before that.
So tell us about UC Berkeley. You're an alumni leadership scholar?
Yes, yeah.
Graduated age of 19 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in political science?
Yes.
Impressive. Boy, you were smarty pants, aren't you?
I've been blessed.
Oh,
I've been very
boy.
blessed.
and she's probably now the youngest judge on the bench.
Are you?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm the youngest. One of the youngest, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's impressive right there, age 19, Bachelor of Arts degree in political science. You know, political science is, I love political science.
It's a very interesting, I really enjoyed studying it.
Okay.
Learned a lot.
Please continue.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's me in a nutshell.
Okay.
As I said, I'm the Justice Court judge. I have a criminal docket. I handle traffic. And we just launched in February of 2024, our Las Vegas Justice Court Mental Health Court that I am super excited about. Thank you.
That's your
Thank
specialty
you.
court.
That's our specialty court. I am super excited about it. It is my baby. It was myself and Judge Eric Goodman. We launched it together and we put a lot of work
Eric
into
Goodman
it.
did that too?
Yeah, the two of us worked on it together. We went to the legislature in 2023 to get permission and kind of change the statute because the way the statute was written at the time, it only allowed the district court to be an official recognized mental health court. And that, I don't think that was deliberate. I think that was just the way the wording happened. And so we went to the legislature and we asked them, hey, can you guys change this wording so that we see a need for a justice court level mental health court. And it was amazing because it was true bipartisanship. You had the Assembly Judiciary Committee was the one that sponsored the bill, and they were Democrat controlled. And then we had Governor Lombardo, who was fully on board, and he actually sent his staff to testify in support of the bill. Okay. And it passed through with bipartisan votes, and Governor Lombardo signed it. And that way we got the statutory authority to launch. And then we started putting together the pieces, and we launched in February of 2024.
Was it a non-funded mandate? Did they supply funding for it?
So we did not ask for funding for it.
So you're doing grants?
So we are doing grants, yeah. So we are funded by, we have our AOC grants, the Administrative Office of the Courts, and then we just got a grant from the federal government.
And how does that program work exactly?
The Justice Court Mental Health Court? Oh, it's amazing. So it is true wraparound services. So, I mean, anybody who lives in Las Vegas, I mean, we are all aware right now that unfortunately...
We're all crazy here.
No, well, unfortunately, we have we have not put the resources that we need to put into mental health.
True.
And we've let this problem escalate and we've let this problem get worse and worse. And we haven't been treating people. And unfortunately, a large percentage of our unhoused population suffers from mental illness. We all see them. We all see these individuals who are on the sidewalk, unfortunately responding to auditory hallucinations, going through some severe psychosis. And so what we do with our court, the reason I say that we had the need for justice court is because we had a district court mental health court program. And it's a great program. It's an amazing program. But to be in district court, you have to have committed more serious crimes, right? You have felonies, right? A lot of the individuals that we are seeing, sleeping on the sidewalk is not a felony. Urinating in public is not a felony, right? These quality of life crimes, it's not that the district court didn't have the ability to treat them. It's that they were never getting there.
That means you're deprived, that you're sleeping on the street. And
Exactly. And so the need is there. Justice court is the court of original and only jurisdiction for these crimes that are these quality of life crimes. And so we're getting individuals who, for the most part, are unhoused, mentally ill. They're suffering from serious mental illness. We bring them into the program, and it's just amazing because it's complete wraparound services. So when you come into our program, within, I want to say 7 to 10 days, we find you housing. We place you in housing. The housing is assisted housing. It's for individuals who need help.
Could I stop you right there?
Yeah.
When you bring a mentally ill inmates into your courtroom, do you provide any type of some kind of a person there with a degree that could talk them down to de-escalate in case things get out of hand?
So
our social worker or caseworker?
So our court coordinator is, I can't remember right now which exactly her credential is, but the baseline to hire an individual for that position is either a licensed clinical social worker or a master's
that stays in the courtroom.
That is there for our mental health court. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very
so that is our.
When you see guns and badges,
Yeah. No. Absolutely. Yes. No. And that's 100%. We need that training. So our coordinator position, like the posting every time it goes out, is it is. We baseline do not hire somebody who doesn't have that credentialing. And so our court coordinator always has that credentialing. And so, and when I say coordinator, I mean the mental health court coordinator. So yes, we do have that individual, but so we're bringing them into the court within 7 to 10 days. We're providing them housing. The housing is an assisted, basically they're usually houses that have about 4 to 5 rooms. And then there's a house manager who's making sure that they're taking their medications daily. They do medication checks. They're assisting them with what we call activities of daily living. So for example, going to the grocery store, putting together your shopping list. A lot of our individuals, because they've been unhoused for so long and off their medication for so long, unfortunately, when you're not on medication and you suffer from mental illness, it actually deteriorates the brain. And so not necessarily, and everybody's honest, there's different levels of kind of adaptability, but a lot of our individuals, even when on medication, still need assistance with those activities of daily living. And so that's what our house manager is there for and our case managers are there for.
Where this facility is located?
Their houses all across the valley.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so their houses.
It's not like one area, like Veterans Village.
No. So their houses all across the valley that have about 4 to 5 rooms, and then individuals we're placing them in these houses with these house managers that are helping them, making sure they're taking their medication, helping them with everything kind of that they need. And then checking in with us, reporting to us, hey, here's how things are going.
And they're training de-escalation.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And so it's a really great comprehensive program. So then what we're also doing is simultaneously, because all of these individuals suffer from severe mental illness, serious mental illness. It's an SMI diagnosis. So the majority of them qualify for Social Security. And a lot of times they haven't been signed up for Social Security. So we're getting them signed up so that those federal dollars that are out there, we're bringing them into our state and we're utilizing them.
Have you been successful in doing that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it takes a long time, right? The Social Security process takes a while, but the court is providing the funding for everything until we get them signed up for Social Security. And the goal is, listen, we're doing the short-term upfront investment, but the long-term investment is once that person signed up for Social Security, they live there for the rest of their life, not just while they're in my program. They now have that source of income that they can continue being in that room, receiving all of those services for the rest of their life. And that is kind of the way it's going to go. Is it's not that you graduate my program and suddenly you're on your own. You get to continue living in that house. You get to continue having that house manager, that case manager, all those things.
So they won't wind up in front of you.
Correct. The only thing that actually stops when they graduate my program is they stop coming to see me. Because that's part of the mental health court. Yeah. And that's part of the mental health court is they start off seeing me and Judge Goodman once a week. We check in with them in the beginning once a week while they're going through that stabilization phase. We're getting medication management because a lot of times, even if they have some medication, it's not always the correct medication. We've got doctors that are seeing them to make sure we're titrating people up, seeing, okay, this medication isn't working. This medication is working better, getting them on the right cocktail because each person is different. It's not, you've got this diagnosis and you've got this diagnosis, so we can give you both the exact same medication at the same exact dose.
Are there any rules like no alcohol? Or
yes.
Like that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We drug test. There's no alcohol, no substances, including marijuana, because all those things interfere with your mental health medication. And
unless you're using marijuana for mental health.
So that is not part of our program. And that is one thing that some
people do though. They use marijuana for mental health.
There is absolutely some people do because for our program, it's an SMI diagnosis.
What does SMI mean?
Serious mental illness.
Oh.
So we're talking about schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, bipolar disorder, and some severe forms of PTSD that are causing, for the most part, it's diagnoses that we can assist with medication
Sounds
management.
like a lot of politicians out there.
Schizophrenia. And I don't know if I said schizoaffective as well.
Okay.
And so, so it's really our primary is that medication management, right? Getting them on the right medication and helping them with the medication management. So we're kind of titrating them to where they need to be. But part of that is educating them about the fact that alcohol and substances are going to adversely affect the effectiveness of their medication. So that is part of our program, and we do start them off with drug testing. We tend to, within a few weeks, we're able.
They fail the drug test.
So that is one of the great parts of the program, right? And that's one of the things that makes a specialty court different from other forms of probation, right? It is not you failed the drug test, we're kicking you out of the program, right? We're working with these individuals to help them improve their quality of life and to educate them on how they can be successful, right? So what I always tell people, and one of our rules is we recognize addiction takes time, right? It's not I told you to stop using drugs, so you will stop using drugs tomorrow and that's it. I've cured your addiction by telling you to stop using drugs, right? But you have to try, right? So if you don't show up to a drug test, you'll get a sanction. But if you test positive and you're still in that active, like that beginning, probably 60 to 90 days that we're recognizing you are dealing with withdrawal symptoms, you're dealing with all of these symptoms of addiction, we're not going to sanction you for that. I'm not sanctioning you for being an addict. Right. We're going to work with you. We're going to have evaluations done to determine your level of care and your level of need. Do you need intensive outpatient, intensive inpatient, whatever it is? We have doctors that evaluate them, that give us that response of here's what they need right now. We get them into whatever programming they need to help them with their substance use problems.
So how did you get involved in all this, by the way? And where did this passion come from?
I am very passionate about it. I'm very passionate about it. We talked about, I said earlier, I've been fortunate. I've been fortunate and a lot was given to me. And I believe that those whom a lot is given have an obligation to give a lot back. And so it is, I see the need and I'm like, hey, I'm capable of stepping into that hole and working hard and trying to fill that need. And so that's
Is that why you became a public defender?
It is, yes. Yeah, I always joke I became a public defender before it was popular, right? 2011 was not the hype. 2011 was not the height of popularity for being a public defender, but I'm a big believer in listen, there's a lot about the criminal justice system, but our Constitution, right, is the bedrock of our country. It is an amazing thing, right? Our Constitution is what sets us apart from everywhere else. Without that, we're nothing. Without that, we're nothing. We are so blessed. I mean, that is exactly what all of our branches of our military, our veterans, everything, right? Like that is what people give the ultimate sacrifice for. It is for our Constitution. And so that's why I chose to be a public defender. And in the course of being a public defender, I had the privilege of you can't help everybody, but there are people that you can help. And so I brought that passion with me to the bench. Again, I recognize you can't help everybody, but we have an obligation to help the people we can help.
How many people have you put through that program?
The program. So we just launched in February. So we are still a new program. We are up to 30 people right now in the program, which is actually a great rate of progress, especially because we're still working on bringing in the monies. We started with a smaller grant. We just got the bigger grant. Those monies are going to be clearing soon, but we haven't actually brought in that second money. And so we want to make sure that we're only bringing in the people that we have the funding to support. So we're at 30 right now. We've actually got our first graduation coming up April 7th. You guys are absolutely invited. April 7th, we are anticipating, if all goes well, having 9 graduates.
That's awesome.
Which is kind of right? That's 9 people that have now been out of the criminal justice system for a year, have been taking their medications, have been housed, have been sober. I mean, it's so amazing. I'm sorry, I go on and on about it, but it's truly it's an amazing program.
No, that's good. But the public, people need to know that that's out there and that's happening and how many people it's helping. And have any of those people come back to your courtroom for any reason?
Retread.
So we've had, listen, not every single person, as I said, you can't help everybody. We try to help as many people as we can, but there are individuals who, for one reason or another, they're not able to be successful in the program. The number one thing that we are seeing right now that we're working on, and we're constantly evolving and adjusting, right? We're a new program, and so there's always that learning curve, and we're learning from our mistakes so that we can do better for people. One of the biggest things, again, with that population that is committing those quality of life crimes is when we place them in housing, they walk away. And the reason for that is because they're not medication stable. And it's very hard because I can't control what medication the jail is giving people. And that's no knock on the jail, right? The jail has their own, it's resource problems all the way around, right? That's always the way it is with government. And so the jail is doing the best they can, but they've got a lot of people, and there's a lot of people who need mental health medication in the jail. And they've also got limits on what they can do and what types of medications they can purchase and what types they can't. And so sometimes, again, that titration and finding that right cocktail that works for an individual, sometimes what we have is individuals walking away before we got them into that right cocktail. And so that's our biggest, actually, I'm trying to think, almost every person who hasn't made it through the program has just been because they've walked away early on. We haven't had many, but those individuals. And so we're trying to come up with creative solutions because we're finding that if we get them through that first 30 days of the program, when we get them through that first 30 days, we're seeing the success rate go up. Yeah, everything gets easy from there. And so it's really that first, because I can't control what they're putting you on in the jail. And then I'm trying to figure out what you need to be on when you're out of the jail. And that's kind of what we're tinkering with right now to come up with the best possible solutions for people.
What's the funding for that?
The funding for what?
Per inmate.
In the jail?
Or per defendant that comes through your program.
So the jail, every individual housed at CCDC, the last numbers I'm aware of, it's $250 a day. Each person that's in jail in CCDC. The funding for my program, we're spending about...
Because she does the little thing.
Well, I'm trying to, because it depends, right? A little bit, depending on their needs and things like that. But our housing is costing us, with the assistants, with the case managers, with everything, about $900 to $1,000 a month per person.
Okay. That's not that bad.
Yeah, so I
was expecting a lot more.
No, yeah. I mean, we're talking about really over the course of a year, $10,000 to $12,000 per person, versus think about how much it costs to incarcerate that same person for a year.
Right.
That's the other portion of it, right? There's the human portion.
Plus you're saving lives.
Exactly.
You can't put a price on that.
Exactly. Like, you can't put a price on that. And that is the human portion. And that is the amazing thing that we're doing, is helping all these people. But even from an economic perspective, I mean, we are saving thousands and thousands of dollars. Thousands and thousands of dollars.
How does that make you feel?
The human portion, absolutely amazing. The economic portion, I'm glad that I can be part of a solution.
So you were a professor at Nevada State College?
Adjunct, yeah.
What's the difference between?
So a professor is basically full-time. Adjunct is, I just taught like a class or two, like an evening
Criminal
type.
justice, you taught?
Yes, yeah. A couple criminal justice courses, yeah.
Did you enjoy doing that?
I did, yeah. Yeah.
And what type of criminal justice did you teach? I mean,
so I taught
DUIs, domestic.
No. So I taught, one was like kind of intro to criminal justice type course. So that was basically kind of teaching the students like kind of the introductory, like, here's, your three branches of government, and here's the function of the executive, and here's the function of the judiciary, and let's kind of dig deeper into what goes on in the criminal justice system. What's an arraignment, what's a sentencing, all of that kind of stuff. And then I also taught a law and society class, which was a really interesting, it's all about kind of different forms of kind of social structure and how you set things up and your cause and effect, basically.
You taught the Constitution?
That was kind of the intro. No, I taught a little bit of it in the intro, but not specifically constitutional.
Do you have a favorite amendment that you like?
I love all the amendments. I'm a constitutionalist. I love all the amendments.
That's a very good answer. Very good answer. So from the time you came on the bench until 2 years later, right? You've been on the bench 2 years?
Yep.
What have you learned? How have you grown since day one until now?
That's a great question. I mean, there's a ton to learn, right? And that's kind of, honestly, as a litigator, I think we don't realize, like, you're in court and you're seeing court every day and you're seeing what the judge is doing every day. And you're like, okay, like, the judge is just making decisions. And I think I didn't necessarily appreciate everything that goes into that. What I have learned, there's a lot, I guess is the answer. I think, number one, I've learned it's totally okay to take a minute and take a beat and take a breath. It's absolutely okay to ask more questions, right? Like if I've got more questions to dig, because I always kind of had this vision of the judge as the judge takes what the parties want to give them and then the judge makes the decision. And that is what it is. And like on that side of it, I'm like, oh God, there's so much information that I still feel like I need to make a decision, or, oh gosh, do I need to make this decision right now? Like maybe there's something I want to go look into. And in the beginning, you feel this pressure of like, this is the way I've always seen it done, so I have to do it this way. And then as I'm growing, I'm like, you know what? I've always felt like the important thing is following the law and making sure you're getting it right. And it's okay to sometimes demonstrate like, hey guys, I need a minute. I need to go in the back. I need to look at a law. Hold on a second. I have questions. I need more answers here. Yeah. That.
Or you could call me up and I'll come over there and help you.
There you go. I'd appreciate that very much. I appreciate that.
I'll help you with that. Hey, Steve, what about this one? Oh, okay. Yeah, let me look it up.
No, it's always learning. And I think there's this image of judges that like, oh, they're supposed to know everything. And that's not true. There's plenty that I need to look up or be educated on or have briefed or give me more information. Right. And that's perfectly okay. Right? It's far worse for me to think I know everything and go into something blind and not listen to what's being told to me. It's far better for me to just be like, hey guys, I need you guys to give me more right now.
What about discretion? How do you use discretion when you are making a judgment call, when you're applying the law? How do you use your discretion?
What do you mean by that?
Some judges says that was my discretion. This is how I interpret the law. This is how I see it. No, I don't see it like that. This is how I see it, and I'm using my discretion. They said 5 days. I'm just going to do 6. Or
in sentencing, maybe.
Yeah. So in my mind, listen. Everything is supposed to be a case by case analysis, right? There's a reason that we don't just have a matrix of if X, then Y, if X, then Y. Because no two situations are exactly the same. No two individuals are exactly the same. No two circumstances are exactly the same. Sure. Even no two crimes are exactly the same, right? And so for me, it's about taking in what's going on in front of me. What is alleged to have happened here? Who are the individuals? What is going on with them? And the way I exercise my discretion is truly, it's a case-by-case analysis. Just because I did something one way on one case with one charge doesn't mean the next case should be the same, right? Perfect example. So
the lawyers won't read you.
No, here's the thing. Consistency is important. I recognize that. Consistency is important. But I think a perfect example, right, is if you've got 2 defendants who've committed the exact same crime, but one of them is a schizophrenic who was unmedicated and the other one isn't, right? Like that's a important differentiation. And so I think the important thing is treating every individual as an individual in your courtroom.
Or one did it by accident, the other one deliberately did it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's all sorts of, every case is different.
Has any of your rulings appealed?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of.
That's good. So when lawyers approach you, do you develop any type of bias based on their mannerisms or how they dress or how they approach the court?
Listen, I think as a human, right?
I'm trying to get into your head.
No, I appreciate it. No, it's...
You do mental health court, so...
I do mental health court, that's right. I like it. Listen, I think that as humans, we're always going to have thoughts on things. But as a judge, it is your job to pause, take a beat, and say, you know what? I pull it back. It is my job to treat everybody the same. It is my job to be fair to everybody. And really checking yourself. They did this very interesting study on bias. And why they found that human beings have biases, they found that if you're made aware of it and you're told, listen, like, it's okay. Listen, and when we're talking about biases, it can be anything, right? Like, it can be like, I like blondes more than brunettes, like whatever it is, right?
What my bias is?
What?
crazy women.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
There you go. But the good news is the studies have shown that if you tell yourself that and you actually
If I put it in
pause,
the universe.
no, you pause and you say, okay, I know that I have a preference for blondes. I know that I have a preference for whatever it might be. That self-awareness and saying, okay, but the fact that I know it about myself, so I need to make sure that I'm not treating the blonde attorney better than the brunette attorney, whatever it might be. That right there, that is actually the studies show, and they did it with jurors. They weren't doing it with judges, but it was a study with jurors, and they found that when you just tell the jurors, please be aware, you're a human being, there's probably something out there, think about what it is, and make sure you're not letting it impact your decision, and it actually works. Just having that self-awareness actually works.
Could you explain, because I have a question I want the viewers and listeners to understand. Could you explain the, I would say, the mission of a justice of the peace, or their powers? What are the justice of the peace powers?
Sure, absolutely. So do you want me to give you all or just in the criminal context? All. Okay. So justice court it's a court of limited jurisdiction. What that means is we're created by statute. We handle, so all criminal cases, almost all criminal cases, 99% of criminal cases start in the justice court. The only ones that don't is if the district attorney chooses to go straight to grand jury. Rarely happens. Even if they're going to go to grand jury, they usually still file a criminal complaint in front of us first and then just go to grand jury. So criminal cases, they all start in front of us. We have total jurisdiction over the misdemeanor. So what that means is I am your trial court for misdemeanors. Misdemeanors stay with me. Gross misdemeanors and felonies, we are the court that determines probable cause for the initial arrest. Then a preliminary hearing goes forward in front of us, and we determine, again, whether there's probable cause to bind the case over to district court. Basically, we give the okay for a case to move forward to trial, or we determine, hey, there's no probable cause here, and we dismiss maybe some counts or the case if there's not enough. That's on the criminal side for criminal cases. Traffic, we handle traffic matters. All traffic matters are either in municipal court or justice court. And then we handle temporary and extended protective orders that are not family court. Temporary and protective.
You want to stay away from the family court stuff.
They're a different court than us. So things that are not domestic relationship or things involving child custody. So we handle the outside of domestic relationship, temporary and extended protective orders. And then on the civil side of things, small claims, evictions, and lawsuits that are under $15,000.
Peeing on the sidewalk is not, they can't arrest you for that anymore, right?
They can.
They could still arrest you.
Oh,
for
definitely.
They
Yes,
changed that
absolutely.
in the last legislative session.
No, they definitely, yeah, that's a crime.
Did you have peeing on the sidewalk come to you in the past 6 months?
So there's a couple. There's a county code, lewd and lascivious conduct. Yeah, and then it could theoretically.
What if you have a medical problem?
So, you could have a defense. You could have a defense, but it is, if your genitals are out in public, that is either misdemeanor, lewd and lascivious conduct, or potentially an open or gross lewdness. So it might be, you might be saying that the specific charge of peeing on the sidewalk, and I'm not sure about that. I can't speak on whether that was eliminated. But
nobody saw your genitals. You're just peeing in the corner.
Did they do away with that?
I'm just saying. I'm just giving you a hypothetical. Nobody saw your genitals, and you're just peeing on the sidewalk. Nobody saw anything. You're just peeing.
Okay.
And they come to your courtroom, and they say, "Your Honor, nobody saw anything. I'm just peeing. I have a medical problem. I had to go."
Okay.
What would you do?
So, so number one, I definitely can't answer that question under the ethical rules, right? Because I'm not allowed to say hypothetically in this circumstance, here's what I'm doing, right? I'm definitely not allowed to answer that. And so number two, it would be, I don't even know what the charge would be there, but I can't answer that question.
Okay, so all right, so let me ask.
She's probably not worried so much about those people.
Are you worried about those people?
I don't think so.
From a what?
Going to the bathroom.
The ones that gotta go.
I'm going to stay away from hypotheticals because I'm definitely not allowed to answer hypotheticals.
Let me ask you something, Judge Wood. Has there been a law? But you do sentencing, by the way?
On misdemeanors.
You do?
Yes.
All right. So you know how you have the statutory of what you can or can't do with sentences?
Sure.
Sentencing.
Yep.
And do you have some type of discretion when it comes to sentencing?
In theory.
Okay. Have you
I'm
ever
putting an asterisk. I'll go into it, but go ahead.
Have you ever scratched your head and said, "My God, this law sucks"?
I'm gonna not answer that.
Probably so. She just can't mention which ones.
Go ahead, Ms. Phillips.
No, it's listen, here's right. It's our co-equal branches of government. It's the beauty of our separation of powers, part of our Constitution. I do not make the laws. That is not my job.
So you just stay in your lane.
I follow the law. Yeah, that is my job. I
Who
stay in my
says
lane.
that? Rouhani, Ellie Rouhani. She goes, I just stay in my lane.
Mm-hmm.
So you just stay in your lane.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Ms. Phillips.
So, do we need 18 new judges?
I'm definitely can't answer that question.
Do you carry on the bench? Can't answer that either.
I'm not going to answer that one either.
We've
Y'all are
asked
trying
that.
to get me in trouble.
That just sounds like Mike Villani.
No.
Remember Mike Villani, district court judge? You wouldn't answer anything.
No, I've answered plenty, but for the viewers,
you did.
I'm not.
You had some more than he ever did.
For the viewers, I'm not trying to be difficult, but you guys know we have the ethical rules, right? Judges have stricter ethical rules than any other elected official. We are not allowed to answer a bunch of stuff, unfortunately.
We asked that of the female judges just because, I mean, you guys get death threats sometimes. You guys have, all kinds of situations.
Have you had any threats since you've been on the bench?
I think depends on how you look at things. I would say no.
Okay.
But I think that there are certainly, the thing is we are blessed. We have amazing security and they take it very seriously. They really take care of us. We have just amazing, our marshals are amazing. And there's also other personnel that are looking out for us outside of our marshals. Like we've really got a really incredible group of people looking out for us.
Do you feel safe in the courthouse?
I do feel safe. And so the reason I kind of hesitated in answering and then said I'm going to say no is because sometimes if things are even borderline, if it's not really even something that you would take, if it's just a little bit off, they're going to look into it and they're going to. So that's why I hesitated, because I know there's been some stuff that's been looked into, probably for all of us, but I don't think that anything was a true threat, if that makes sense.
So you're not worried about somebody hopping over your bench and attacking you?
I've got an amazing marshal, and that's not to say that was a low bench. No. I'm not. That bench is lower than all the other benches. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys knew that about that courtroom.
We were in her courtroom today.
It's a lower bench. I have a higher bench.
Okay.
And so I don't think that there was anything, like, as I said, we've got an amazing group of people taking care of all of us. That was a low bench. I can't comment because I wasn't there, so I don't know. But that was a low bench.
Right. So being a judge, how does that make you feel?
I feel blessed that I've been given the opportunity to do this.
Okay.
You going to keep running?
I am, yes.
How long is this term?
6 years.
How long have you been practicing now? How long have you been practicing law in the state of Nevada?
Since 2011.
Okay.
So
she'll hit 15 years in 26, right?
Yeah. Do you ever see yourself at the Supreme Court?
I'm the kind of person, I'm a one day at a time person. If you'd asked me 10 years ago if I was going to run for the judge, the thing in front of me is the thing that I'm doing right now, that I see the need and I try to help and I try to do the best I can. And right now, the mental health court is kind of me and Judge Goodman, it's our baby, and we're putting so much time and effort and work into it. And so I can't really see past that right now. I don't know what it's going to look like in 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, but I know that we're doing everything we can to make it the best program it can be. In 1 year, yeah, we're definitely still working on growing it and making it the best program that it can be. And so I've always said, my mother used to tell me, you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans for the future. Mm-hmm. I think I go where I feel like I can do good.
How about district court?
Again, same thing. I right now, the mental health court is kind of it's so new that I can't say eventually what I'll feel like, but today I feel like there's a lot of growth that we have to do and a lot of work that's still, as I said, we're still working on things. And so that's kind of my focus right now.
How many years were you a public defender?
From 2011 to 2022, 11 years.
Okay. So in all that time, did you ever have a case where prosecutors withheld evidence that you found out later that could have exonerated your client?
That's a good question. I'm going to say yes and no. And here's what I mean by that. The system, we all want it to be perfect. And I think everybody's working their hardest to make it a good system. But the reality is, sometimes with evidence, I think, and I'm not speaking to anybody else's cases, I don't know what experiences other people had, but with my particular cases, I never felt like a prosecutor was deliberately withholding evidence, but I sometimes feel like it becomes a game of telephone when things are being passed from hand to hand to hand, and sometimes something didn't make it to me because it didn't make it to them, because it was, like there's things fall through the cracks, I guess is the way I'll say it.
What if it did make it to them? What if it was in their file and later it was found to be in their file and they withheld it intentionally? What should happen with those people?
So that's getting very close to a hypothetical, which I'm not allowed to answer. I can't go into the hypotheticals, unfortunately, because again, every case is different and there's so many things that are going on. But in terms of my personal experiences in those 11 years, I feel like the people I was working with were trying their hardest. Again, I'm not going to say that there weren't times that I found out later, hey, there was this thing. And thankfully, knock on wood, I had a great investigator. And so we did find things sometimes. And I was giving the prosecutor discovery and going, hey, you guys missed this. Here's some stuff. But I'm trying to think, and I handled a lot of cases in 11 years, like over 2,000 cases. But I'm off the top of my head, I can't think of one where I felt like evidence was being deliberately withheld from me. And maybe it happened and I just don't remember it right now, but I don't recall it.
How do you represent somebody knowing that they're guilty or thinking they're guilty or not believing them?
Constitution. I love all the amendments.
Mm-hmm.
I love all the amendments. And that is the Sixth Amendment, right? That is the heart of the Sixth Amendment is.
She's a smart one, this one here.
It's a good answer.
She is smart. She's politically savvy.
No.
You are.
No.
You're checking a lot of boxes that I like to see in a judge.
No.
You are.
I appreciate that. No, but
She's witty too. Mm-hmm.
You guys are just so kind. You guys are very sweet.
You have any other questions, Ms. Phillips?
I don't think so. None that she can answer.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I did try. I think I answered a lot.
How did the bench change you, if it changed you at all as a person?
I think the biggest adjustment for me was, as an attorney, I had the privilege of having a lot of. There wasn't really bureaucracy around the decisions that I was making as an attorney, right? When you're an attorney, you represent one side. Your job is to zealously advocate for the side that you represent. You do your best. You make the decisions that are best for your client. You file your motions. You do whatever you need to do. But there isn't really a bureaucracy there, right? The bureaucracy might be, okay, you're getting assigned to this case or not getting assigned to this case, things of that nature. But it's not really a thing that you need to work within your job. And I think the transition over to being a judge, for the first time, I'm not technically an administrator or part of the administration, but there is a lot more. I mean, I'm part of a court system now, and that's a little bit different. And so that's been an adjustment for me, and I'm learning a ton. I'm learning a ton about kind of being part of a system, and kind of that's part of, right, like, when you're putting something together, there's a lot of moving pieces, there's a lot of actors, and when you've come from a background of not doing that, then you're kind of learning, okay, there's a list of people I got to talk to if I want to do this. There's a list of people I got to, run things by. This person knows this part, this person knows this part, and kind of putting all of that together.
Do you have a mentor in justice court or an attorney that you?
I've got several mentors. I am so lucky because there are so many smart, experienced judges in justice court, and some who are in district court now who were formerly in justice court. And so I've got so many people that I can go to for advice and guidance, and some individuals who were district court judges or are district court judges who maybe haven't been in justice court but still are very familiar with the system. And so I've got so many people that I get to go to for advice. I'm really, really blessed. I do, yeah.
Do you take cases under advisement?
Sometimes.
And how long before you render a decision?
I try to render within a week.
That's
I'm
pretty
gonna,
quick.
yeah, I'm trying to think if it's ever been longer after like the parties finished their briefing and argued that it's taken me more than a week. I think usually it's a week. The only time, maybe I had one that was 2 weeks, and that was because I wanted the transcripts, because I wanted to take a look, because the parties were saying it was a dispute over like a very minor part of the testimony that sometimes you don't realize, I need to take a note on that part, and then it ends up being important. And so I was like, you know what, I just want to see the transcript to see exactly what got said. So maybe the longest would have been 2 weeks for a transcript.
Do you explain your decisions to the parties, whether it's counsel or defendants? Do you explain why you reached that decision, whether it's a sentencing decision or any other decision?
Yes, I try to explain kind of both the facts that I'm finding and the law that I'm finding, and I think that's really important. When I was an attorney, I did a decent amount of appellate work, and so I recognized, listen, what I'm doing is going to be reviewed, and the higher court needs to know, why did I do this, right? And also the people in front of me need to know, why did I do this? They have a right to know, to understand why they were ruled for, why they were ruled against, and I think that helps with the
That's a good quality, by the way.
Oh, thank you. And I think that helps with the predictability, right? If you've seen a judge kind of reason through things and you're like, okay, this is how this judge reasons through this or looks at this and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I try.
Do you do that in your motions and your briefings as well?
Yeah. So anytime if it's a legal issue that's being put before me where the two sides are disputing something and I'm making a ruling on it, I try to explain my rulings always.
So I take it that you favor criminal law over civil?
Well,
or is it about the same?
I haven't really practiced civil.
Oh, you haven't.
Right. I was
like,
a criminal.
Like landlord tenant. You haven't done any of that.
I did. No. I did a little bit. Like I did some pro bono work, right? And so some of my pro bono work has been outside of that criminal sphere. I did a little bit of landlord tenant, and I actually did a little bit of the CAPS cases in family court. But yeah, the vast majority of my experience is criminal.
Okay.
You know, most people out there, when the judges are up, they're on the ballot, most people have no idea who you guys are or anything. And we get a lot of calls, who to vote for. They've never heard of these people, don't know them. Is there some kind of community day, get to know your judge day or something where all of you guys come together, where people can come down and meet you and have a, casual conversation and casual setting where they can have access to you guys? Is there anything like that, or something that people can, have a conversation with you?
So I don't think there's a centralized one, right? That's the unfortunate thing. I think that a lot of times during when a particular election is going on. Oh, sorry, I got distracted. I think a lot of times when elections are going on, different groups will be trying to have those events, and there is kind of that attempt. Certainly when I was running, and I think anybody who's running, we want that, right? Like we want you guys, we want people to have access to us, to be able to come and talk to us. But it's not like one big Clark County meet your judges thing, right?
Just individual events. It's hard to get to all of them.
Exactly.
But if you guys were all together in one place.
And the problem is, I think that a lot of organizations kind of have that goal. And so what you'll end up with is like 10 or 15 different events during like a 3-month period, but each event has like 20 of the judges or 30 of the judges, and it's not everybody all in one place. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was a question I wanted to ask, but it kind of escaped me right now.
She probably can't answer it.
Yes, she should.
Forget it.
Go ahead, Ms. Phillip. No, ask her another question.
Because she won't be able to answer it.
How you don't even know what type of question I'm going to ask?
No, I'm just kidding.
Go ahead, ask her some more questions.
I think that was my last question. How about on the personal side? What's your favorite thing to do outside the courtroom?
Outside the courtroom.
Yeah. What's your hobbies?
I'm a big reader.
Oh, good.
Huge reader. I like traveling. I love travel.
Where's the last place you went?
Last place, we just got back from Miami, South Beach.
Oh, nice.
Yes. I love the ocean.
So beautiful. I do too. It's so tranquil.
Yes. Yes, very calm.
Peaceful,
Yeah.
calm. It soothed me.
Yeah.
Like when I was in Fort Lauderdale and my hotel room was right on the beach. I felt so.
It is
so
nice.
good.
Yeah.
One thing I miss from California, pretty much the only thing. Yeah, the weather and the ocean.
Well, Judge Wood, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you guys.
It's been really good. It's probably one of our shortest show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you just answered everything like really quickly.
Oh.
Or not.
I gave a lot of answers.
That's good.
It was short because I was so forthcoming.
There you go. That's right.
So, Mark is going to zoom in on you, and you could say whatever you want. That you're going to be running for the Supreme Court seat in 26, or something like that.
Yeah.
Your point of contact, if you want to give one, don't have to, or you could just give an email. Whatever. You do whatever you need to do.
I appreciate it. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this was useful. I'm Judge Nadia Wood in Las Vegas Justice Court, Department 16. And I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope I was able to answer some questions.
Huh?
Thank you guys.
Okay.
Thanks for coming.
Judge Wood, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you guys so much for having
Stephanie
me.
Phillips, thank you. Folks, that's Judge Nadia Wood, Las Vegas Justice of the Peace, and we hope that you were informed. And if anybody that's watching this program, call up Judge Wood's chambers and ask her to run for the Nevada Supreme Court bench. Try to convince her and get her to do it. This is Steve Sands and Stephanie Phillips with Veterans in Politics. Until next time.